So we are here because Fennec has gone live. This is an 18 plus tokusatsu story, well, Ameritoku. So if you like kaiju and henshin heroes, then go over to Kickstarter and please support our story, Fennec. Uh, we are here with writer Catalyst Jost, uh, a personal friend of mine who I have worked with a couple times on stories. How's it going, DJ?
It hasn't been too bad. Just got done donating plasma down the road there, and it's it was dizzying. Let's put it that way, quite literally speaking.
So, what is the name of the anthology that you were a part of recently? The novel anthology.
Right. So, right around January of last year, me and writers Virginia Wallace, Chris Taylor, and Lauren A. Douglas, we all collaborated to make a short story collection, more accurately, an anthology. And what we were going for was more things to do with like the supernatural and all sorts of like other oddities and abnormal aspects about humanity. The tagline is "Only the Reaper stays focused for very long," and here it is.
All right. So for some reason I can't see your screen, so just send me a picture of that later. But what is the elevator pitch of your story in that anthology?
I wrote an 8 page short story called Thirst. So the idea behind it is that there is a young man who wakes up in what can be described as a brick room, and it turns out that how do I put this without spoiling it? Um, while inside the room, he experiences what could shortly be described as almost like a psychological experiment. In doing so, he comes across he comes across a mad what like appears to be a mad golem that basically a masked man that constantly comes to terrorize him, and the only other interactions he has other than that particular character is through a speaker box in the corner of the room that constantly addresses him to rehabilitate, to become better. It's almost like they're trying to cure him of something. I I was going more or less for a kind of a psychological horror kind of deal, but the more I really fleshed out the story and what I was going for, I kind of gave more hints to potential like science fiction elements, with also a bit of a social commentary on what it's like nowadays with the party scene, and also how hard it is to overcome addictions such as alcohol, drug use, and being in that kind of lifestyle.
Right. So, psychological social experiment seems to wrap up a lot of the stories that I've read from you. So, my a question that I ask most horror writers, because I get different answers. Do you write what scares you?
Oh, 10,000%, 10,000%. Like a good majority of the content that I have written, published, and collaborated with other people and other artists have either been from experiences that were deeply traumatic in my own life, or nightmares that I personally have all the time, really. And the reason why I gravitated towards more fear-based fictional media, such as horror and such as psychological thrillers, or anything to do with sci-fi, to really just project that that uneasy feeling, because with that amount of fear, it can make you feel inadequate. It can also make you feel terribly, terribly insecure.
Facts. Now, like myself, I know that you are a big fan of anthologies, like the Twilight Zone here. So, what is your favorite anthology, and what is it about anthologies that you think affects 90% of creators?
Hmm. Could you could you re-ask that question? I'm not sure. I'm not sure I grabbed the full context of it.
Well, first, what's your favorite anthology?
Oh, my favorite anthology. Gosh, like similar to you, it's a cross between the Twilight Zone, but I also really got into Netflix's Black Mirror, because
Ooh,
so like with the Twilight Zone, as you know, Rod Serling created a series based off of real world fears, but like obviously with a bit of a dark fantasy, science fiction, like little twist with all of them. And the thing is, like, the format in the presentation, in the way that he projected that work of art, it still remains relevant today. Like, that's the biggest thing, because you look at modern day artists like Jordan Peele, whose biggest influence is from the Twilight Zone. Like, Rod had created what was called the social thriller. And but I think I'm getting a little bit overtracked. You asked what is the how does it affect artists, more or less?
yeah, I think you were getting on track there. How does, or well, why do you think anthologies affect most creators? Creators being writers and artists, like we gravitate towards anthologies, and there are so many good anthologies out there.
Well, I think it depends really on how the anthology is presented, because like the Twilight Zone and Black Mirror, uh, each episode is different. Each one has a common theme. Has a different theme, but like all the episodes are kind of entangled in this commentary regarding stuff like social issues, how technology is affecting our way of life, and how it will continue to affect our way of life going forward. So you go in really to like you go in for the good stories, the stories that make your hair stand on end, well, so to speak. Anyways, and it's you go for the stories, but you linger and stay there for the biting commentary about our societies. These are the reasons why these works of art, why these works in the medium are still relevant today. And me personally, I found it better to use the anthology format to get out a bunch of other stories that I have locked in my head, because like the biggest thing is with it's almost like it is a short story kind of scenario. You can really challenge yourself to expand on such a premise or a character or even a little world just through a handful of pages, through a 30-minute episode. There's a challenge in it there. And usually, most of the time, you see just each one of these works of art just punch you in the teeth in the best way possible in terms of their subject matter and their themes. Makes you think.
Absolutely. So to switch over to another genre that I know you and I both love so much is slasher films. which disappeared for a while and were replaced by Insidious style ghost films and paranormal and cult devil worship movies for like a decade plus, and then all of a sudden slasher films are making a comeback, which I don't know about you, but I'm pretty excited about. But what do you think, like as a horror writer, slasher films could do this time to stick around?
Mm, more and more, because it's weird because like with old school slasher films like the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Halloween, they were more or less about the idea of serial killers and how some of them can live right down the road. With A Nightmare on Elm Street, there were themes of like how of nightmares and like the kind of fear of would your dreams be able to kill you? And when it came to Scream, it was obviously a meta commentary on like those aspects of it, and really, you're gonna have to, in order for them to really stay, you kind of have to take some of the real world elements of some of the issues that plague us today, like say a best example that was done this past year was Thanksgiving by Eli Roth,
Mm,
because during that particular slasher film, of course there was the cheesy bits, the kills were awesome and whatnot, but the biggest thing is, and I wish they really expanded on it more, that there was a commentary regarding consumer frenzy, like the darker side of our consumer culture, and the aspects of blue collar versus white collar work. And they even kind of flirted a little bit with how social media can really play a factor into like some of the things, because you see with a lot of the psychology with some mass shooting perpetrators, is that like usually the mindset is they have had enough with society and whatever fucked up version they tell themselves about, and they're gonna go out in a blaze of glory. And with social media and the internet all connected nowadays, there's that's the way to go out in a blaze of glory. So I think as those themes and themes of technology and economic crisis and social issues going forward, that's what slashers are going to have to do going forward to really stay more relevant. It's like a social
yeah.
slashers.
Yeah, well said. Because I think back in the day, slashers started off scarier, and then they became less scary, but not necessarily bad, just less scary because Freddy, Jason, Michael, etc., Chucky, they all became like icons, pop culture icons. They became comic book characters. They became this and that, and eventually they just became like so popular and famous that the fear aspect was taken out of slasher films, so much so that when I was a kid, I mean, I was watching horror films, but at that point, it was like I was watching Freddy movies and Jason movies, and people were just getting killed. And not that that's okay to watch as a kid, but like there was no fear in it because I'm just watching people get killed, but I don't feel afraid because there was no fear in these movies. It was about your favorite pop culture icon just going around murdering people, and that was okay for people for a while until it got boring. So it definitely we need to bring the fear back into slasher films. And it's okay to have Freddy be a pop icon because that was pretty cool, but he's got to be scary too, or else they'll die off.
Well, one of the things I think is a big problem is that, like, similar to how certain comics, and I mean not, and I don't mean like drawing comics, I mean like comedians, like how comedians have to kind of censor certain material nowadays, given the times that we're in. I think you see a lot of that happen with directors because, like, yes, you do see some haunted house stuff. You see the occasional slasher and whatnot, but especially again with the modern day and some of the problems that plague it, and with social media expanding upon it, you you see a lot of creators in those fields try to tone it down because they don't want to upset what is already a very fragile uh, zeitgeist equilibrium.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm glad you brought up like Scream earlier and Jordan Peele because like I feel like they're some of the only things keeping slasher alive because uh, uh, Scream keeps coming up with new concepts, but how do they come up with concepts? By giving a meta commentary. It's like this is slasher, but we're gonna, be meta about it, and but that seems to be their own formula. And then you got Jordan Peele who does the social commentary, kind of like how you like to write your stories. And then outside of that, I mean, I'm a sucker for gimmicks, so when like Pooh, Blood and Honey comes around, it's like, all right, so slashers are going gimmicky as well. um, it seems like they're just destined to be like, uh, uh, popcorn movies or like, pop culture icons and stuff. But I hope that the new meta commentary aspect really keeps them going, and in the fear aspect.
And I would be kind of hopeful because you keep in mind, like back in the '70s, and I mean, this was kind of like one of the first like major blockbuster horror films. But like 1973's The Exorcist was nominated for a slew of Oscars. Not that that really matters anymore, but but I don't know. I think I could really see like slashers, and horror in general is like really starting to drill its way into back into the modern day pop culture scene.
Well, here's another question, a subgenre here. Like, I know, statistically speaking, I think less and less people are religious or believe in God around here anymore. So, like, I'm wondering if possession movies are still scary because in reality, the people who believe in God tend to be scarier than the devil, you know?
Yes, yes. No, you did see kind of a format like that when it came to the Lodge back a few years ago because the main character and killer of that movie was heavily influenced by religion, and you also see that like in about a couple weeks or so, the first Omen is coming out, which is based off the Omen from the 1970s, which is still. I rewatched it recently. It's still a pretty damn like good horror film, man. Like the remake's alright, but like it. Well, that's but like what you were saying with possession and whatnot. Yes. Here's the thing. Like when you overdo, when you overproduce a particular genre, and this can come from anything, usually the best thing you can do is try to flip the genre script on its head. That's one way to do it. Or and after that, so you're not trying to do a one trick pony or a two trick pony. The best thing you can do is try to find out, okay, we did this. Let's try to make a sandwich. Let's see if we can do like we can lay down the polymerization card and see where could haunted house or slasher mix with X, this, that, and the third, because that's usually where modern day originality comes from, like thinking about, okay, this concept happened and this concept happened, let's put them let's try to fuse them, you know what I'm saying?
Absolutely, and I really hope it works. I hope the future is bright for horror movies, which it seems like it is. Um, So, DJ has a podcast on our YouTube channel called "We Got Nothing." Definitely check out the "We Got Nothing" podcast. And DJ, where can people read your stories?
Okay, so with when it comes to Fatal Distractions, um, you we did a podcast with Virginia Wallace, one of the co-authors on the book there, and that particular podcast can be accessed on YouTube and within the what you call it there, the whatever the writing prompts are like after it, the what do they call it after, like when you, that one section where there's all the links and whatnot, you
Uh,
know.
I don't know.
Well, you go onto the YouTube and click on the descriptions in the on the video. You can access the Amazon link, and that's how you can get both the you can order the physical copy and a digital copy. Digital is going to be a little bit more cheaper. For some of my poems, I have a bunch posted on my Instagram, so I mean, I'm the one posting this live video right now, but if for the others that like don't know, it's my Instagram is CATALY5TJ05T, and the only other thing I can think of that I really wrote was a Scare B&B, the that part of Rings of Saturn. There we go. There we go. I think you would be able to explain how they access that better, wouldn't you?
Yes. If you are interested in getting this anthology, Rings of Saturn, which features a bunch of people who are friends of ours who wrote different stories, and we drew and colored every story to be a different style, depending on the writer, including a story by DJ Catalyst Jost called "Scare B&B," which is hey, one of those social commentaries, I'd say. And it's a really good story. If you're interested in this, check out our website, lifeonsaturnart.com. Send us a message. We'll hook you up.
That.
All right. Well, thanks for joining us on Indie Comic Shorts. I'm calling them, and helping me promote our story, Fennec. Much appreciated.
Yes, no, I always appreciate you as a creator and as a friend, and I just cannot wait to really see Fennec take off, and also to see what future collaborations and projects you're going to be producing in the future. And
Same,
I
bro.
appreciate
And I
it.
know you'll be a part of it.
Hey, spoilers.
All right. Peace out.
Uh, Peace.